47 minutes. That is how long Pam Bondi and Kash Patel spent in the same hearing room accusing each other of covering up the Epstein names that 71% of Americans say they have a right to see. Not a private dispute, not a behind-closed-doors disagreement. A public congressional hearing where two officials who are supposed to be enforcing the law spent 47 minutes pointing fingers at each other over who was blocking the release of a list that both of them admitted exists, both of them have access to, and neither of them will make public. Watch what happens when Patel calls Bondi a coward for refusing to release the names. Watch Bondi's response when she accuses Patel of selectively leaking parts of the list to the press. Watch the chairman try to restore order, and watch both of them ignore him because the fight is no longer about procedure or protocol or legal justification. It is about two people who know they are both guilty trying to make sure the other one looks worse. And watch 47 minutes of the American public getting exactly zero answers to the one question that matters. Who is on that list, and why are you protecting them? You need to see this from the beginning because what happened in that hearing room is not just about Epstein. It is about a system where the people demanding transparency are the same people blocking it, and the only thing they can agree on is that the public does not deserve to know the truth. If you are new here, subscribe right now and turn on notifications, because what you are about to see is the most hostile exchange between government officials in modern congressional history, and every second of it proves that neither of them works for you. Let me set the scene for you. House Oversight Committee, Rayburn Building, Room 2154, the same room where cabinet secretaries have resigned under questioning and agency directors have been referred for criminal prosecution. Wednesday afternoon, the hearing was titled Transparency and Accountability in Federal Investigations. But everyone in that room knew it was about one thing: the Epstein client list. Bondi arrived at 1 p.m. sharp with 4 attorneys and a leather portfolio she set on the witness table without opening. She sat in the center chair wearing a black suit and pearl earrings and an expression that said she had prepared for every possible question and had an answer for none of them. Patel arrived at 1:04 p.m. with no attorneys, no staff, just a single folder and a look on his face that everyone in that room recognized. He was angry, not the calculated anger of someone performing for cameras. Real anger, the kind that makes you forget to be strategic. He sat 3 chairs away from Bondi, and when the chairman asked if the witnesses were ready to begin, Patel did not wait for Bondi to answer. "I am ready to tell the truth. I cannot speak for the Attorney General." Bondi turned her head toward him. "Excuse me?" "You heard me." The chairman banged his gavel. "Mr. Patel, you will wait to be recognized before speaking." Patel ignored him. The American people want names. They want to know who was on Jeffrey Epstein's client list. They want to know which powerful people were involved, and they deserve answers. The only question is whether the Attorney General is going to give them those answers or keep hiding behind legal excuses. Bondi's voice was ice. "I do not hide behind anything. I follow the law." The law does not require you to suppress public interest information. The law requires me to protect ongoing investigations. There is no ongoing investigation. Epstein is dead. Maxwell is in prison. The investigation is over. You are just protecting the names. The chairman banged the gavel again. Both witnesses will refrain from addressing each other directly. You will address the committee. Neither of them looked at the chairman. If you have made it this far and this matters to you, subscribe now and hit the bell, because what comes next is 47 minutes of two people who were supposed to be allies tearing each other apart while the entire country watches. The chairman recognized a congressman from Ohio. Attorney General Bondi, a recent poll showed that 71% of Americans believe the Epstein client list should be made public. Why has DOJ not released it? Bondi leaned toward her microphone. The materials related to the Epstein investigation contain sensitive information about victims, witnesses, and ongoing matters that could compromise justice if prematurely disclosed. Patel laughed, out loud. Bondi's head snapped toward him. "Something funny, Mr. Patel?" Patel leaned toward his own microphone. "Yes, actually, the idea that you are protecting victims by hiding the names of their abusers is hilarious. I am protecting the integrity of. You are protecting powerful people who do not want their names public. That is a baseless accusation. Then release the list and prove me wrong." Bondi's jaw tightened. "I am not going to be bullied into compromising an investigation." "What investigation? Name one active case related to Epstein that requires the list to stay sealed." Bondi did not answer. The congressman from Ohio tried again. "Attorney General, can you name an active investigation that would be compromised by releasing the list?" Bondi looked at her notes. "I cannot discuss active investigations in a public setting." Patel jumped in. "Because there are none. The only thing being protected here is reputation. Rich, powerful people who do not want the public to know they were on that island." The chairman banged the gavel. "Mr. Patel, you are not recognized." "The American people recognize me. They recognize that I am the only one in this room willing to tell them the truth." Bondi turned in her chair to face him directly. "You want to talk about truth? Let's talk about how you leaked portions of that list to 3 different reporters last month." The room went silent. "Drop a comment right now and tell me if you think Patel was ready for that accusation, because his face says he absolutely was not." Patel's expression hardened. "I did not leak anything." "You met with a New York Times reporter on February 12th. You met with a Washington Post reporter on February 19th. Both of those reporters published stories containing information that could only have come from sealed DOJ files. Want to explain that?" "I met with reporters as part of my official duties." "Your official duties include disclosing sealed evidence?" "My official duties include transparency. Selective transparency. You leaked names that served your narrative and kept the rest sealed." "That is a lie." "Is it? Because those 2 stories mentioned 4 names from the list, 4 specific names, and all 4 of those names were people you have political disagreements with." "Interesting coincidence." Patel stood up. "I have never disclosed sealed information." "Then how did those reporters get those names?" "Maybe they got them from someone at DOJ, someone like you." Bondi stood now too. "I have never leaked anything." "Then one of your people did." "I control my people." "Clearly you do not, or the list would not be leaking in pieces designed to damage your political enemies while protecting your friends." The chairman banged the gavel 3 times. "Both witnesses will sit down immediately." Neither sat. A congressman from California jumped in. "This is exactly the problem. Both of you are accusing each other of corruption, while neither of you will do the one thing the American people are demanding: release the full list." "Why?" Bondi turned away from Patel. "Because releasing names without context would destroy innocent people." Patel scoffed. "Innocent people were not on Epstein's island." "You do not know that. Actually, I do know that, because unlike you, I have read the full file." Bondi's eyes went wide. "You do not have clearance for the full file." "I had clearance when I was at DOD. I read it then. That clearance was revoked. My memory was not." Subscribe now, because what happens next is Patel revealing information he should not have, and Bondi realizing she just gave him an opening to destroy her credibility. Patel sat back down slowly. "You want to talk about what is in that file?" "Let's talk. The file contains testimony from 23 victims. It contains flight logs documenting 437 trips. It contains photographs from 7 different locations. And it contains names. 184 names of people who either visited the island, flew on the plane, or attended events where Epstein facilitated access to minors." The room was dead silent now. Of those 184 names, 31 are current or former federal officials, 9 are federal judges, 17 are foreign diplomats, and the rest are corporate executives, Hollywood figures, and academics. All of it is documented, all of it is verified, and all of it is being hidden by the Attorney General. Every camera in the room was pointed at Bondi. She looked at her attorneys. One of them shook his head. She ignored him. Mr. Patel just violated federal law by disclosing classified information in a public hearing. It is not classified. Judge Ramos unsealed it. Portions were unsealed, not the full file. Then unseal the rest. I cannot unilaterally unseal. You can recommend it. You can file a motion. You can do anything except sit here and pretend your hands are tied when the only thing tying your hands is your desire to protect the people on that list. Bondi's voice rose. I am not protecting anyone. Then release it today. I cannot. Why not? Because it is not that simple. It is exactly that simple. You have a list. The American people want to see it. You release it. That is simple. Bondi slammed her hand on the table. You know why I cannot release it? Because half the people on that list are people you work with, people you have praised publicly, people whose support you need for your confirmation hearings. Patel froze. What are you talking about? You know exactly what I am talking about. You want me to release that list? Fine. But when it comes out that 3 senators who voted to confirm you are on it, do not act surprised. The room erupted. Journalists started typing. Cameras flashed. The chairman banged the gavel 6 times before people stopped talking. What you are watching right now is not a policy dispute. This is 2 officials who both know what is in the file, threatening to destroy each other with it. The chairman's voice was loud. Attorney General Bondi, are you testifying that sitting senators are named in the Epstein files? Bondi looked at the table. I am testifying that the list contains names of people across the political spectrum. Releasing it would be politically catastrophic for both parties. A congresswoman from Texas leaned into her microphone. So you are suppressing evidence of crimes to protect politicians? I am following established protocols for handling sensitive materials. Protocols designed to protect the powerful. Bondi did not answer. The congresswoman turned to Patel. Mr. Patel, you said you read the full file. Are there sitting senators on that list? Patel looked at Bondi. Then he looked at the congresswoman. Yes. How many? I am not going to disclose specific numbers. More than 1? Yes. More than 5? Patel hesitated. Yes. The room erupted again. The chairman gave up trying to restore order. He just let it play out. Bondi was on her feet. You just committed a felony. I answered a direct question from Congress. You disclosed classified information. Information the American people have a right to know. You do not get to decide what the American people have a right to know. Neither do you, but you have decided they do not have a right to know that their own senators were involved with a pedophile. Bondi's face went red. That is a disgusting mischaracterization. Then characterize it correctly. Were those senators involved with Epstein or not? Being on a flight log does not prove involvement in crimes. But it proves association. It proves access. It proves they were in Epstein's orbit when he was actively trafficking minors. And you think the American people do not deserve to know that? Bondi sat back down. Her voice was quieter. I think the American people deserve a justice system that does not convict people based on guilt by association. I agree, so charge them or clear them. But you are doing neither. You are hiding them. I am protecting the process. You are protecting your friends. The chairman finally managed to restore enough order to recognize another congressman. Both of you have now admitted that the Epstein list exists, that it contains names of powerful people, including sitting senators, and that both of you have access to it. Is that correct? Bondi nodded. Patel said yes. Then here is my question. If both of you agree the list should eventually be public, Why are you fighting each other instead of working together to release it? Bondi and Patel looked at each other. For the first time in 40 minutes, neither of them had an immediate answer. Bondi spoke first. Because Mr. Patel wants to weaponize the list for political gain. And Attorney General Bondi wants to bury it to protect her allies, Patel added. The congressman held up his hand. So you both agree it should be released, but you cannot agree on timing or process? Both nodded. Then let me propose something. What if this committee subpoenas the full list from both of you? What if we release it ourselves with proper redactions for victims and witnesses, but full disclosure of perpetrators and associates? Would either of you object to that? Bondi's attorneys all leaned in to whisper. Patel sat perfectly still. The congressman waited. After 30 seconds, Bondi spoke. I would need to review the subpoena language. The congressman turned to Patel. And you? Patel took a breath. I would comply with a congressional subpoena. Even if it meant names you do not want public? Patel nodded. Even then. The congressman looked at Bondi. Attorney General? Bondi looked at her attorneys, looked at Patel, looked at the cameras. I would need assurances that victim identities are protected. That is a given. Anything else? Bondi was quiet for almost 10 seconds. I would need immunity from prosecution for anyone whose name is disclosed solely based on flight logs or location records without evidence of direct criminal participation. The room went silent again. The congressman leaned back. You want immunity for the people on the list? I want protection for people who may have been on that island without knowledge of what was happening there. How many people on the list fall into that category? Bondi did not answer. The congressman turned to Patel. Mr. Patel, in your review of the file, how many people were documented as being on the island without knowledge of criminal activity?